Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about 50 Cent. And really, we're going to be talking about this Verzuz battle that took place last night between Ja Rule and Fat Joe. Now, this was an entertaining battle, and it brought back a lot of those old school hits from the early 2000s when those two were popping and doing their thing. But it looks like a lot of fans couldn't keep 50 Cent name out of their mouth in the comments. A lot of people couldn't stop bringing up 50 Cent because it is well known that 50 Cent and Ja Rule had an ongoing beef that pretty much brought the end of none other than their record label, Murder Inc. Now, Murder Inc. was a highly successful rap label that had pop artists as well, like Ashanti, who sang R&B but kind of crossed over as a pop artist, and was brought down by 50 Cent, man. It was over after 50 Cent, man. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar business and other things, man. It wasn't all just 50, man. They had their thing with the feds. It was all bad. Well, Irv Gotti was not liking all that 50 talk, so he had a lot of things to say. And 50 Cent, in his own way, responded. So before we get to the specifics of this, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, man, let's talk about all the drama. But first, let's give our props to Fat Joe and Ja Rule for putting on a great show, man. That Verzuz battle was better than expected, man. I actually was waiting for it to be kind of whack, and it was actually pretty good. I was surprised, man. And some of the guest features and all that were dope, man. Now, what I'm going to be doing is referencing a story from none other than VladTV.com, man. And Vlad, his staff, they put together this, this article where they're talking about the whole situation with 50 Cent, man. Now, 50 Cent obviously will never have a good relationship with Ja Rule and Irv Gotti. I mean, when you take money out of people's pocket, you take, even though they eventually got all that back in some way, it was just damaging to their career and put a halt to all their success, And for those who are super duper young and don't remember, 50 Cent was the main culprit in bringing down Irv Gotti and Ja Rule's success and Murder Inc. as a record label. Now, in those days, the record labels were pretty much owned by there were a lot of CEOs who were /producers /artists that owned the labels all of a sudden, man. Dame Dash kind of broke that door down, and you started to see these relationships between Def Jam and their artists, where they artists had their own labels. Ja Rule and Irv Gotti had Murder Inc., man. And Murder Inc. was doing big numbers. I'm talking about every time Ja Rule dropped, he was doing like triple platinum, double platinum. Go back and check the numbers if you don't believe me, and I assure you that is 100% correct. Plus, they found a way to cross over with a lot of their artists like Ashanti or whatever and get that pop love. So there was a money-making machine. And 50 Cent came out dissing Ja Rule in their historic battle and put an end to all that. So none of that can ever be forgiven. I mean, could you blame him? But Irv Gotti got tired, obviously, of everybody bringing up 50 Cent, and the article's going to get to just that. Because during the battle, I was looking at the comments and I seen 50 Cent's name popping up a lot. Now, the headline of the story says this. It says, update. 50 Cent responds to Irv Gotti dissing him during Ja Rule's Verzuz. So obviously this is an update to a previous story, and in this they're just going to talk about what happened before and what they've got now. So let's actually look at the first story. So it said this. It says, the Fat Joe and Ja Rule Verzuz battle was a success on all fronts and did not disappoint when it came to guest appearances. However, one person that didn't show up, who many rumored would be there, was 50 Cent. Stop right there. I don't know why people thought 50 Cent was going to be there, man. Like him and Ja Rule and Irv Gotti, they've already said it ain't never going to be cool. They'll never be on the stage together. So I don't know why people keep believing that, but the story goes on to say this. It says, apparently, Murder Inc. head honcho Irv Gotti wasn't too pleased by the trolls clamoring for an appearance from 50 and hopped in the comments to let it be known. In quotations, it says, all y'all talking that 50, all good, just letting it be known that he ain't mad at people who are talking about 50. Just kind of clear the way for the next thing he was about to say, which was this right here, which is also in quotes. He said, he got beat up, stabbed up, shot up, and sued us. That's all I'm going to say. Your hero ain't what you think he is, period, and facts. So basically, talking about the situation that we've heard stories about where 50 Cent, Ja Rule's camps got into a run-in in the studio. Allegedly, people were shot. Allegedly in that situation, people were stabbed. And then, later on, people were shot or whatnot. And, 50 Cent getting shot kind of birthed his career in a way, in an odd way, man. I know that sounds weird to people who don't understand the history, but, man, just roll with me, man. And he's basically saying that, 50 Cent ain't all what everybody thinks he is. Now, 50 obviously always has his antennas up, and any type of disrespect is met with equal and brutal force, you know what I mean? And by brutal force, I mean talking on social media. That's how battles are fought these days. Now, this part of the story finishes by saying this. It says, he also slighted Fat Joe a bit by suggesting Joe was out of his league against Ja Rule, saying, this is actually not a good battle. Everyone knows crack don't have hits like Rule. And to be honest, I'm going to keep it funky, man. I like Fat Joe, man. I think when he came out with Y'all Don't Want to Live My Lifestyle super early, it was a telltale sign of how the night was going to go, because Ja Rule has way more hits than we think. Even though the whole 50 Cent, it put a dark cloud over Murder Inc. It made Ja Rule almost a laughing stock for a second there, and I hate to make it seem like that, but that's really how it went, as far as hip-hop was going. When you start to really think about it, and when you start to see it play out in the Verzuz battle, dude got hits. And, man, it showed. It showed. So I had to give him his props there. Now, the story continues by saying this. This is their update. It says, Irv Gotti reignited his long-standing beef with 50 Cent during the Ja Rule and Fat Joe Verzuz on Tuesday night. Irv commented, and they repeat the comment that we talked about just a second ago, and then they said Irv's comment wasn't lost on 50 Cent, who commented to Irv in a subliminal post writing, I put they whole label out of business. Mess with me if you want to. I would stay out of my way if I wasn't me. Laughing out loud. So basically, 50 Cent went to social media and put this post right here of himself holding, the cup, and then, also smoking a cigar in the suit, you know what I mean? And just putting it out there that, hey, I put their whole business, I put their whole label out of business, and not to mess with him. And to be real, 50 Cent is one of them dudes. It's like, I don't know, man. It's hard to cancel him, first off. Like, people have tried to cancel 50 Cent before, and it just doesn't work. He actually feeds off the negativity and comes out stronger. I don't know, like a character you would be playing in a video game. You know what I'm saying? It charges him up if you come at him with negativity. The only way to defeat 50 Cent is to ignore him somehow. And people haven't found out a way to do that, because a lot of the things that he says are pretty wild, man. And it gets people's attention. It's galvanizing, I should say, man. Now, he also made another post, man, prior to that, where he said this: WTF am I trending for? I said I ain't doing whatever they doing. And basically, I think he's talking about, he was responding to the fact that his name was trending yesterday or last night during the battle. He's like, man, so he has a picture of himself looking at the phone like, why am I trending, man? He's funny, man. 50 Cent has a good sense of humor, and I think that's a part of the reason why a lot of the times he disses people, it comes off, he ends up being the victor, because he knows how to read the room, and he's really good at dissing people, man. He's got good jokes. I'm not even gonna lie. His memes and stuff are funny. But obviously he was shocked at the fact that he was even trending during somebody else's battle that he's not even cool with. So he's just telling him he didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it's been rumored before, especially in the hip hop circles or whatnot, that he doesn't want anything to do with Verzuz, really. Like, he doesn't want to, participate or anything like that, because obviously he's got his own thing going on, being a producer of TV shows and all that. 50 Cent is on the winning side of things, right? Now, what's crazy is these cats are still beefing like this to this day, man. This is 20 years later almost. And, man, the beef is still, as serious between these two camps as it was then. Even though 50 Cent takes it on by himself, it's wild to say the least. Now, what do you guys think about that? Do you think these guys should probably just let sleeping dogs lie and put this thing to bed and just don't mention each other? You don't have to be cool with everybody, but you don't have to mention them either. You know what I mean? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.